Hello, my name is Josh LeCount. I am a senior here at Ball State University studying telecommunications, and this is my fourth year here. Now, before I dive into who I interviewed, what the interview is about, and what organization he's a part of, I want to talk about what the relational leadership model is. The relational leadership model is a process designed to positively create a better environment in the workplace and to better understand who you are leading slash following. And there are five major points or categories of the RLM, and those are purposeful, inclusive, empowering, ethical, and process oriented. Now, each one of those categories is one part in what it means to be a relational leader in the workplace, and each one brings a very vital attribute to the table when it comes to that kind of leadership. And for this interview, I chose to interview Connor Hillestad, who is a part of a on-campus organization. And from my interview, I can confidently say that Connor is an ethical decision maker, which brings his team together and closer. He is inclusive on his decision making from a weekly basis, and he is process oriented when it comes to the weekly meetings and live Facebook event. There we go. Um, Now, to start with what Connor is most efficient in and cares about the most is his ethical decision making. I know that Connor, from my interview, possesses those qualities of what it means to be an ethical decision maker. And from a New York Times article titled Ethical Journalism, written in 2004, I learned that it is very, very important to tell the truth and only report on information that you have facts about. And Connor has learned this in his classes when learning about journalism and what it means to run a studio and what you air on live quote unquote television. Um, and I asked Connor about that, wanted to touch more on it, and he said that ethics play a huge part in the studio process, especially during the live event each week. And one example he gave me was during a time where one of his sports analysts on screen was talking about a basketball event, and because they needed to kill time before commercial break, he had him just continue talking and going off script. Well, the news analyst, or the sports analyst, sorry, started to talk about the player's character instead of their performance. And what this can do is bring a bad image on the character. It's unwarranted opinion, and it could potentially lead to angry customers. Sorry, not customers, angry viewers and fans. And Connor during those moments has to make a decision whether to tell the analyst to stop talking, which could then lead him to believe he's doing something wrong, creating some confusion, and it has to happen quickly too because it's live. And if you say one thing, everyone has heard it. So what Connor did in that situation was told the host to cut to commercial right away, and then he told the director to count down, which then during the commercial, or not the commercial, during the end of the live event, he then talked to all of his sports analysts and said the importance of what it means to tell the truth. Basically, what I learned in the ethical journalism article I read from the New York Times, all outlined with what Connor said about being an ethical decision maker and the importance behind telling the truth. Now, Connor could have easily taken this situation multiple ways, but I saw that he's ethical in his decision making because of how he handled the situation with a lot of wisdom and composure. He reminded his team of Cardinal Sports Live mission, which is to tell the truth and to inform on sporting events outside from their own opinions, because it is simply a news source where you can go to read facts on sporting events. And that is very important to build trust in that moment as well, because in order to have an inclusive environment, you then need to be able to work together effectively. And one way Connor does this really well in being inclusive is how he runs his weekly meetings and the way he communicates in a group chat. Now, because I was a part of this organization a few years ago, I'm still in the group chat that Connor leads. I just want to be informed. I think it's a cool organization, although I do not participate often. But through that, I can see how Connor is an inclusive leader because each week he begins by asking everyone what they want to cover, what kind of packages they want to do, and collects as much information as possible early on in the week, and then spends not too much time in a very effective amount of time. He makes a list of what will be covered and what will not be covered based on the importance and relevance, and then explains himself. He does a good job justifying his decision, so that everyone knows that that their ideas and thoughts were taken into consideration for the final product. And then he begins delegating work for those who stepped up in this area. He will then give them what their desired task will be. Now, for his third and final characteristic that he possesses in the RLM is he's very process oriented. A good example of him being process oriented is how he operates in the studio. On a weekly basis, there are many tasks that need to be taken care of in an extremely quick amount of time during the live show. And one area he does this well is how he effectively runs his studio with his procedures. He trains everyone on how to be composed during a situation that may go south, and he trains each person one-on-one on what to do when like a certain situation could arise, and he even gives examples to them and asks them to perform it on their own time just to practice. And one example of this was when I was actually working. He told me a story about when the batteries on his host's microphone died in the middle of a show, and because you won't be able to hear them, he immediately told his director to go to commercial, and then had his director count down, and then immediately went over and told his audio technician to go take these batteries to the host, replace the batteries, and come back. And within the 30-second commercial, it was all taken care of like nothing happened. And Connor said that it is very hard to keep your composure in that moment because all eyes are on you. And he said if you fall apart, your whole team falls apart. So based on Connor's ethical decision making and the way he includes everyone's ideas and thoughts on a weekly basis and orientates his team's productivity, tells me that he is a leader who possesses qualities of the relational leadership model. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.